I'm Jackie M, and I'm going to show you a secret to making authentic beef rendang without all the fuss. I know there are a lot of recipes out there, and Malaysia being such a diverse country, there are lots and lots of different variations to beef rendang, but this is the recipe that I used in my restaurant when I was running it, and it's one of my signature dishes. And I'm just going to show you quickly a couple of the ingredients that we use. First of all, now this is what's called a meat curry powder. You can find this at most Asian grocery stores. It doesn't matter if you can't find one that says meat curry powder, but that's the one I tend to go with when I'm making a meat curry dish, okay? And the other thing that's a little bit of a thing with Malaysian recipes is something called chicken seasoning powder. Now, if you browse through a lot of Malaysian recipes, you're gonna come across this a little bit. Chicken seasoning powder or chicken stock granules. You can actually find it in Australian supermarkets. They're just not out there that much, but if you want, you can substitute it with chicken stock cubes and just crumble it. Okay, now another thing that I'm going to use is lemongrass. Most people know lemongrass, and this is what you would find at your supermarket shelf or supermarket grocery section. And I like to actually use a minced product. Again, something you can find at Asian grocery stores. This is a frozen minced lemongrass. Have a look in the freezer section, you should be able to find it. Otherwise, you know, if you like chopping, I don't really. I like to abbreviate everything. I like to make everything simple. You know, you'll have to chop this up and then just process it in a blender. Other things I've got here are just some crushed chili, okay? And just your usual garlic, soy sauce. And another cheat that I'm using with this recipe is these are packaged fried shallots, okay? And usually you see with Malaysian curry recipes, you have onions or shallots and you'd be peeling them, chopping them, and then processing them in a blender. I just try to avoid having to do all that by just using shallots, okay? So I'm just going to heat up this pan here. I see a lot of cooking videos where they like to use big woks to cook their curries in. I personally like to use thick base, heavy pans, and I actually prefer non-stick because then you don't have to stand over the stove and stir it and keep a close eye on it. I'm just going to heat up a little bit of oil, and in the meantime, this is what you use. This is how you use curry powders in Malaysia, okay? I've got the curry powder here. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it. So you just want to add some water to this and mix it into a paste, okay? And I'm just going to turn down the heat a little bit. Bit of oil. And we're going to fry this until it's fragrant, adding the garlic. And if you were using fresh onion, fresh crushed onion or pureed onion, you would add the onion in now because you want to brown it. But because we're using fried shallots, it's already brown, we don't need to do that. We'll add it towards the end of our cooking process, okay? And now I'm just going to throw the beef in. I keep saying this to everyone. When you're cooking Malaysian, try and adopt the whole philosophy of agak-agak, which is Malay for guesstimate, really. So if you think this needs a little bit more oil, don't be afraid to just drizzle a little bit more in there. And now here comes the easy part. I'm just going to throw everything else in. The lemongrass, the crushed chili, the sugar, chicken seasoning, a little bit of soy sauce. It's a little bit unconventional to add soy sauce to your beef rendang, but that's something I learned from my mom, and she makes a really, really good beef rendang. Okay, now I'm just going to add some water to this. Okay, now depending on the cut of beef you're using, you will take probably sometime between 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get this meat to cook till it's tender. It's going to reduce, and if it starts to dry up too quickly before the meat is tender, just add more water to this. And I'm going to add some coconut cream in here as well. Again, just keep an eye on it every now and then. You don't have to be standing over the stove stirring this. What I would generally do is just cover it and simmer it on low heat, and then just check on it every now and then. You can just cover this with a lid and cook this, but I don't have a lid for this particular pan, so I'm going to transfer it into a smaller pot and lid it and let it simmer. So we'll come back and check on this in about an hour's time. So this has been cooking on a low simmer for the best part of an hour. And again, I've been adding a little bit of water as we go along, just to make sure that it doesn't dry out too much before the meat gets tender. And now I'm just going to add some fried shallots and mix it through. Now, beef rendang traditionally should be a fairly dry curry. Really depends on the version out there. Some are drier than others. There you go. And I'm just going to serve it up with some rice. There you go, that's my quick and easy beef rendang. As you can see, not complicated at all. You can give it a go. Let me know how it turns out. I'd love to hear back from you.